Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Um, Ali Siddiq, Mr. Khurshid Marwat, Mr. Athar Bangish, Ms. Sobia, distinguished guests, the amazing fellows of Amal and the Amal team. Assalamu alaikum. And first of all, let me congratulate you all. I think this is a choice, and every time I attend this graduation ceremony, takes me back at least 20 years. And I think to myself, if I was here, I might not have made this choice. So I really, you should appreciate yourself that you've made this choice. And I'm even more proud that I'm here in Peshawar because I belong to the area. Zada Char Sadeniyam, Dede Rumbarak Shetasutul. So I work for the PepsiCo Foundation, which is the philanthropic arm of PepsiCo. And if there was ever a competition about who has the best job in the world, I would apply for that competition. And the reason for that is I'll ask you a question. Which was the best part of your fellowship? Okay. Mega project wasn't the best part of your. Okay, no. Then maybe, but anyways, so my role is to do mega projects every day. That's what my job is. That's why I feel that it would probably be the best job in the world. And to give you a little bit, to tell you a little bit about it, I, along with a team of 5 people, we try to encourage people to realize their potential, to help them in realizing their potential. And we do that not just in Pakistan, but all over the world. So I have a colleague, her name is Raquel, she's based in Brazil. And in Brazil, she's working on a community program called Solidarity Kitchen. And in that program, they have set up a big kitchen for a community so that they can prepare fresh, nutritious meals for people in need in that community. It's an amazing project that goes year on year. Similarly, I have a colleague in Thailand, his name is Bal. He's working with small-scale women farmers to help them improve their livelihood. Those women farmers who really want to make a change in their lives so that their families can prosper. And in fact, I was there about 2 months ago in the very north of Thailand, and I visited this village and I met a lady farmer, and she was telling me how excited she is to grow avocados and oranges because they bring a lot of revenue, a lot of profit. And she doesn't want to grow corn anymore. And if she grows avocados and oranges, her kids can study better, they can get better education. And so this is the kind of work that me and my colleagues do every day, all across the world. And that's why I wanted to share that I feel like I must have the best job in the world. Today, I want to leave a thought with you based on my personal experiences. And maybe, if some of you are struggling with some things, it will light up an idea in your head. And I know we all have heard the phrase that everything is possible, right? You can do anything, I can do anything. If you really put your heart and soul into it, you can achieve anything. So we hear this all the time. But the question is, how do you know that everything is possible? And do you really believe that everything is possible? What about all the times that you fail? And every time that you fail, does it bring a nagging thought in your head that, no, maybe not everything is possible, most things are possible? So let me relate a personal story. I unfortunately started smoking when I was in my early 20s. So at the time, and this is way back in time, we used to see these Marlboro ads. I don't know if anyone of you have seen those. There's a man sitting on a horse wearing a cowboy hat, running through mountains and snows. That sense of freedom. And I used to think, wow, this is really cool, right? So I wanted to be a cool person like that man. So I started smoking just to be cool. And then somebody told me, you know what? Whenever I get stressed, I have a cigarette. So, tension ho gayi hai, cigarette pee lo. So I said, okay, I'll be cool, and if I get stressed, I will start. So I started smoking in stress. Then there was some celebration someday, and everybody was celebrating, and we all started smoking. Said, okay, happiness, celebration. I'll smoke when we celebrate. Then somebody said, oh, we can smoke when you're alone, you feel lonely, you should smoke again. So slowly, occasions turn into moments, moments turn into days, days into months, months into years. And so I smoked for 20 years, roughly. And in those 20 years, I must have tried to stop smoking at least 5 to 10 times, right? And every time I started, I used to think everything is possible. This is not a problem. I can do it. But 1 day, 3 day, maybe 1 week was the maximum. I quit, but then I started again. And so every time that I started smoking again, my belief, everything is possible, started shattering a little bit, right? So I had deep down, I said, no, I can't do everything. And this little self-doubt started creeping in my head. So anyways, this is a really long story about how I eventually did quit. But I did. It was a 1 year long, very long struggle. And I finally did end up quitting smoking. And that part about how it happened, thank you. That part about how it happened, I can tell you another time. But what was even bigger that happened to me was it brought a deep transformation inside. Because for 20 years, maybe not 20, but for 15 years, I was thinking I can never quit smoking. And what I had done, I'd done the impossible. I had actually quit smoking. That was the impossible for me in my head, the impossible that I was facing. Just like the impossible that the lady, I think Noor, who was here, mentioned that it was impossible for her to stand here and make this speech, right? So we all have our impossibles. So what I would like to add to the phrase, everything is possible, everything is possible if you can do the impossible at least once. For me, that was quitting smoking. So I quit, I did the impossible, and it transformed me completely because now I was thinking I can do anything in my life, anything. It was a completely different transformation. So I was riding on this wave of genuinely believing and doing the impossible. And the one side effect of quitting smoking, the only one for me, was that I started gaining weight because one of the techniques I used for quitting smoking was every time I felt like smoking, instead I started eating something, So the habit of eating started happening and I started gaining weight. So I wanted to be more fit. I wanted to, lose weight, become healthy. And very luckily at that time, one of my great bosses, I met him and he told me that he ran the Paris Marathon. Okay. So in case you don't know what a marathon is, it's running a distance of 42.2 kilometers in one go. So has anybody run a marathon here? Okay. 8 kilometers. That's great. So I said, this is interesting. maybe that evening I went to Google and I Googled, like you Google everything, Paris Marathon. And I found two really interesting facts about the Paris Marathon. That year that my boss ran the marathon, 50,000 people had run the marathon. And the other thing that I found was out of those 50,000, 10 to 12 were 80-year-olds, and about 100 were 60-year-olds. I was kind of in my early-ish 40s at the time. This is about, I think, 4 years, 3 years ago, actually. So I said, if these people can do it, they were inspiring me. Maybe I should try doing it. So I thought to myself, because I had done the impossible of quitting smoking, I was riding that wave. I made a commitment to myself that I'm going to run a marathon in 1 year. And then the next morning, I made a public commitment to my family and my friends. I'm going to run a marathon so that I could get social pressure of actually doing it. And just for a minute, let me give you my profile at the time, my health and fitness profile when I decided to run a marathon. So, like I told you, I had an illustrious 20-year career of smoking, and I had never run in my life, ever. And I was never into sports, maybe played cricket as we all grow up here and there, but nothing noteworthy. And if you were to meet any one of my class fellows in my 5th grade or my 10th grade and you ask them, who is the one guy in this class who can never run and can never be an athlete, they would have said, this Hatim is that guy. Okay, so that was my profile. So that was one thing, that I had never done anything like this. And then when I told in my social circle, the naysayers, people who, some of them genuinely don't want you to do something because something might happen to you, and others genuinely don't want you to do something because they don't want you to ever succeed, right? So all of those people, no, you can never do this. My mother and my family, some out of concern, bache khub bakezan, khayal kawa. So anyways, I said, no, I'm going to do this. And again, now I'm not going to go through the entire story of how it happened, but 10 years before the completion of that 1 year time frame, I actually ran a marathon from Murray to Islamabad on the expressway. So it took me about 4 hours and 36 minutes or so. And what happened to be, it was obviously an amazing experience, because when I was coming to the finish line, my family was there and they were all cheering for me. And by the way, I ran it alone, so there was no race, because in Pakistan, you don't really have marathons. So I was just running on my own. It was COVID time. A lot of things happened. I got sick, I got hurt, COVID happened. So many things happened, but I was determined and it happened. So, I mean, the moral of the story that I found for myself was that, if you start dealing with your impossible, what you think is impossible for you or very difficult for you right now, you will really start believing in everything is possible, and you will do much more than what you think. And just to close this, so I was super excited that I'd run the marathon. That evening I was on YouTube trying to find out, how many people have how many people have run more than a marathon. So, you know what? All my ego got deflated when I figured out what people in the world are doing. There are people who are running. I found someone who had run 200 kilometers. Somebody had run 500. Somebody had run 600. Somebody had run 1,000. One crazy guy had run 5,000 kilometers. Okay, so that was the new vision that got created in my head. That, okay, this is nowhere. It's a completely new reality now. So I think that's what I really wanted to leave you with. You all have amazing potential. It's always amazing to be here. Amal is very close to my heart because I was the first person from PepsiCo to meet Benji and Ali uh, many years back. And I think we all doubted each other. They were thinking this is somebody from another planet, and I was thinking these guys are living in another planet. So there was a trust deficit, but over time we realized that, the real winner of our partnership are all of you, people like you. And it's always amazing to see what great progress people before you have made when they've graduated from this program. And I'm sure you also have great things in store for you. So thank you very much.